of us can share. Thank you for my family, I always know they care. Thank you for my friends and teachers, toys and games to play. Thank you for this great, great world where I wake up each day. Toda, toda, toda rabba, toda, toda, toda rabba, woo, toda, toda, toda rabba, toda, toda, toda rabba.
What?
I like to hear the shofar blast, sometimes slow and sometimes fast. I like to hear the shofar blast. Happy, happy, happy New Year. Tekiah.
Tekiah.
I like to hear the shofar blast, sometimes slow and sometimes fast. I like to hear the shofar blast. Happy, happy, happy New Year. Shivarim.
Shevarim.
Tekiah.
Tekiah.
I like to hear the shofar blast, sometimes slow and sometimes fast. I like to hear the shofar blast. Happy, happy, happy New Year. Teruah.
Teruah.
Shivarim.
Shevarim.
Tekiah.
Tekiah.
I like to hear the shofar blast, sometimes slow and sometimes fast. I like to hear the shofar blast. Happy, happy, happy New Year. Kia G'dolah.
Tekiah G'dolah.
Teruah.
Teruah.
Shivarim.
Shevarim.
Tekiah.
Tekiah.
I like to hear the shofar blast, sometimes slow and sometimes fast. I like to hear the shofar blast. Happy, happy, happy New Year. I like to hear the shofar blast, sometimes slow and sometimes fast. I like to hear the shofar blast. Happy, 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 happy New Year.
Hava, Hava Nashira.
Shana. L'shana tova tikatevu, l'shana tova tikatevu, l'shana tova, l'shana tova, l'shana tova, tikatevu betechatevu.
Good afternoon and good Yontif, which is a special way of saying happy holiday, the special holiday of Yom Kippur, which we're celebrating today. I'm Rabbi Mo Salt, joined by my friends and my colleagues, our senior cantor, Daniel Mutlu, Rabbi Rebecca Rosenthal, from our LCLJ, Jeremy Sipe, and David and Yvonne and Benny are helping us with our music today, helping all of us, whether we're here in the sanctuary like us or at home like you, singing as we welcome in this very special day of Yom Kippur. We also have our most favorite storyteller, Bill Gord, with us, who will be teaching us later. And we're just glad to be together. We know our youngest members are here today alongside their parents and grandparents and other family and friends. We are gathering on our live streaming site and on Facebook, and we're just glad to be together. We have a special prayer book for this holiday. It is most special because it was written with the help of our students. And there'll be a few times during our service where I think you're going to want to take a look at it. So my suggestion is to have a separate device where you can have the prayer book and also see us leading the service. You can find it at centralsynagogue.org. When you get to centralsynagogue.org, you go to our live streaming page, and our live streaming page has a hyperlink that says Family Service Machzor. Machzor is the fancy way of saying High Holiday Prayer Book. So find the Family Service Machzor link for us to pray together. Cantor, do you know it's been 56 years, exactly, since an all-star baseball player named Sandy Koufax made history for what he did not do. You see, 56 years ago, Mr. Koufax was the best pitcher in baseball. I'm not making this up. He was the best pitcher in baseball, and his team, the Dodgers, had made it to the World Series, and they asked him to pitch the first game, which happened to be, if it was 56 years ago, what happened? What was it, Cantor?
I wasn't born yet. But,
that's I know that.
But it must have been, a super important game.
Yes.
And he just,
But what was 56 years ago today?
I think it was Yom Kippur.
It was right? Yom Kippur, obviously, on the Hebrew calendar. And Mr. Koufax said, I'm going to choose not to play. He said there was never any decision to make, because there was never any possibility I would pitch. It was Yom Kippur, the holiest day for the Jewish people, and the Dodgers knew I would not work that day. It's a historic decision that we Jews are still talking about 5 decades later. So here we are today. We all have choices to make, just like Mr. Koufax, about who we are and who we want to be. And we chose today to be together for Yom Kippur. As we go ahead into this new year, may the choices we make continue to be wise and powerful every single day. And since we're together, we're going to sing a song about joy of being together. It's called Hine Ma Tov. I know so many of us know it. Let's sing it together.
Hine Ma Tov וmanayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tov umanayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tov umanayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tov umanayim shevet achim gam yachad. How good it is,
How good it is,
how sweet it is,
how sweet it is
to be together on this day. How good it is,
how good it is,
how sweet it is,
how sweet it is
to be together on this day. Hine matov umanayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov umanayim shevet achim gam yachad. Shevet achim gam yachad.
We rise and turn to page 8 for Baruch Hu.
Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach leolam vaed. So everybody can be seated here and at home, and we're going to go to our prayer book, still at page 8, and there's this prayer in front of us for creation, the Yotzer. And when we wake up in the morning, after we thank God for our bodies, for our souls, we look outside and we look at the light, and we feel an incredible amount of gratitude for the light around us, which gives life to all of us. But it also reminds us of creation. It reminds us of that very first light. So we sing this prayer together, the Yotzer, and we're gonna layer it with the good help of Jeremy here. You're gonna hear our voices kind of coming in and out and in and out, and it'll kind of remind you of the fact that at any point around the world, the sun is shining. The world is never completely in the dark, right? So somebody can sing Yotzer in the morning while we're sleeping at night, and then when they're sleeping at night, we sing the Yotzer in the morning. So let's continue with this prayer on page 8. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam yotzer or uborei choshech oseh shalom uborei et hakol. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam yotzer or uborei choshech oseh shalom uborei et hakol. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam yotzer or uborei choshech oseh shalom uborei et hakol. Oseh shalom uborei et hakol.
On pages 12 and 13 of our prayer book, you'll find the words of the Shema prayer. Every other day of the year, we sing the first line of the Shema in a full voice, and the second line in a quieter voice. Except for today, we don't sing the second line in a quieter voice. On Yom Kippur, it's different. And why is that? Because in ancient days, Yom Kippur was the only day that a person who is known as the high priest, the most significant spiritual leader of our ancestors, would go into the most special of rooms in the ancient temple in Jerusalem. That room was called the Holy of Holies. And when the high priest went in that space, the high priest would recite the Shema first line and second line in a loud, full voice, so everyone outside of that space could hear the high priest say the Shema. So we follow this practice each Yom Kippur, remembering the special ritual of the high priest going into this most special room. It's like every one of us becomes that Kohen Gadol. That's Kohen Gadol is Hebrew for the high priest, doing our best to communicate with God.
Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad Baruch Shem Kevod Malto Leolam Va'ed Ve'ahavta את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בהם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך וקשרתם להיות על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
Amen.
We are on page 15. We have in front of us our Song of Freedom. And on this Yom Kippur, as we recognize that we're now in the beginning of the Jewish calendar again, we say this is the first month, but it's actually the 7th month since we were redeemed from slavery in Egypt. And we always remember that we were given freedom right after coming out of Egypt, but that it took 7 months for us to acknowledge that the new year had began and that God had created the world in connecting these two events in time. So we'll sing together Mi Chamocha as we celebrate freedom on this day of holiness. Mi Chamocha Ba'elim Adonai Mi Kamocha Neda B'Kodesh Nora Tehilo Ose Fele Nora Tehilo Ose Fele Mi Chamocha Ba'elim Adonai Mi Kamocha Neda B'Kodesh Nora Tehilo Ose
say,
Feleh, Nora, Tehilot, Oh, say,
We're on page 16, and we're joined by friends from the congregation, Marin and Stephen, who are going to read a prayer with a parent job and a children job. So if you're a parent and you're able to read, please read along with Stephen. If you're a child and you have the prayer book, please read along with Marin. And I would just say that if you don't have a prayer book, listen really closely to what they're going to say, because our students who wrote this prayer book wrote this beautiful prayer, and they have a lot to teach us.
Sometimes I tell you to do things without explaining why.
Sometimes I do things on an impulse without thinking about the consequences.
I will put away my phone when you are talking to me.
I will pay attention when you are talking to me.
I will try to let you do things your own way, as I know you often have good ideas.
I will try to listen and consider your ideas, even when I strongly feel that I don't need any suggestions.
I will try to trust you more and let you be more independent.
I will try to be more trustworthy and not let you down with my decisions.
I promise to make you a priority and be on time and be present.
I promise to understand that you have responsibilities, and I will be patient.
I will not demand perfection, but I will ask you to work hard and always maintain your integrity.
I will always try my best and appreciate all that I have.
Sometimes I will do things you will not understand, but I promise to try to explain them to you.
Sometimes I will do things that you do not understand, but I promise to try to explain them to you.
I will try to lead you as a responsible individual.
I will accept what you teach while making my own decisions.
I will try to explain my decisions, even when you won't like them.
I will try to understand, even when I don't like what you say.
I will try to set a better example of appreciating what we have.
I will try to be more grateful for what we have.
That is good Torah. Thank you both so much. We're on page 17. It is time for the Tefillah. Please rise.
Adonai sefatai tiftach ulfia ki tehilatecha. Adonai, open my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu ve'Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak ve'Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka Elohei Rachel ve'Elohei Leah Ha'el HaGadol HaGibor VaNorah El Elyon Gomel Chasadim Tovim Mekonei Hakol Vezocher Chasdei Avot V'Imahot Umevii Geula Livnei V'neihem Leman Shemo Be'ahava Zochreinu L'chaim Melech Hafetz B'chaim V'chotveinu B'sefer HaChaim Lemancha Elohim Chaim Lemancha Elohim Chaim Lemancha Elohim Chaim. Remember us unto life, O God of all, who delights in life. Yotzer Moshiach Umagen Baruch Ata Adonai Magen Avraham Bezrat Sarah.
Please be seated. When we asked the 5th and 6th graders to help us write this holiday prayer book, we asked them to think about everything, including one of the most challenging pieces of writing for the High Holy Days, the Unetanneh Tokef prayer on page 21. Here is the message they wanted to share about the Unetanneh Tokef. They said this prayer acknowledges that in life we sometimes face tough and scary situations beyond our control. This prayer challenges us to think about how to handle these situations and be more responsible when making choices for ourselves. It relates to the High Holy Days because it helps us reflect on the year that has passed so that we can make better choices in the new year. We hope that this prayer will leave people feeling thoughtful. We want people to ponder their choices, for them to view the world differently and have a new perspective on their own journey. Amen. Let us proclaim the sacred power of this day. It is awesome and full of dread.
Unetanneh Tokef Kedushat Hayom Ki hu Nora V'Hayom Uvo Tinaseh Malchutecha Vikon Bechesed Kisecha ותשב עליו באמת.
When we talk about the book of life during these high holy days, we say on Rosh Hashanah, it is written. On Yom Kippur, it is sealed.
בראש השנה ייכתבון וביום צום כיפור ייחתמון
Translation of this prayer that was written by our 5th and 6th graders.
Who will be excited for the day and who will be upset? Who will want everything and who will be overwhelmed with sadness? Who will want the world to be good and who will want fairness? Who will start arguments and who will be the peacemaker? Who will be fearful and who will be lonely? Who will be afraid of change and who will copy friends? Who will bully to have power and who will change the world with their actions? Who will be frightened by the difficult tasks? Who will be poor, never grateful for what they have? Who will be rich, happy with exactly what's theirs?
Teshuvah utefillah utzedakah mavirin et roa hagezerah.
But self-reflection, prayer, and tzedakah, they have the power to change the nature of our lives. These return us to God. May we go forth with celebration and forgiveness. May we go forth with rejoicing, forgiven for yesterday's mistakes, hopeful for tomorrow, to a year of great goodness.
Thank you, Ellie. Rabbi Mo, would you believe me if I said that cantors have superpowers?
Of course.
Okay.
I know a cantor with superpowers.
I'm going to prove it to you, okay? So say you get lost and you forget what day it is, you forget even what month it is, you don't know what time of year it is, and you don't have your watch. How do you tell time?
Well, I'm not a cantor, so
Okay.
I don't have superpowers.
So here's how the cantor
Yeah,
uses
let us
superpowers.
know
You
the
ready?
secret.
If you go into a synagogue and you listen very carefully to the music, you can actually tell not only what day of the week it is, you could tell if it's evening or morning just based on the melody. And on Yom Kippur, there is a super, super special melody that is only played on Kol Nidre, on the eve of Yom Kippur. And that is the Kol Nidre melody. So if you heard that melody, Rabbi Mo, you would know exactly where we were in the Jewish calendar. And today, we're going to get to hear that beautiful melody. To play it for us, I'm going to call up Ivan, our wonderful clarinetist in our central synagogue team and band here. And when Ivan is done playing the Kol Nidre, we'll just meditate silently for a few minutes, and we'll call each other back to prayer with a special song of peace. So here is that extra special melody that you only hear this one time of the year, Kol Nidre.
במרומיו הוא יעשה שלום עלינו. עושה שלום במרומיו הוא יעשה שלום עלינו. עושה שלום במרומיו הוא יעשה שלום עלינו. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועמו ישראל. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועמו ישראל. יעשה שלום עלינו. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל
You know, we don't have very many people here in the sanctuary, just the people doing honors and some of our team, but there is a dance party happening in here, and I hope there's one happening at your house too. So we are going to rise and take out the Torah on page 24.
כי בציון תצא תורה, כי מציון תצא תורה, ולבר אדוני מירושלים, ברוך שנתן תורה תורה, ברוך שנתן תורה תורה, לעמו ישראל בקדושתו.
So we've reached one of our special prayers for Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, Avinu Malkeinu. We ask God to take care of us in the way a parent takes care of a child, in the way a ruler takes care of their people. We are going to read responsively with Marissa Hochberg, the director of the LCLJ.
Avinu Malkeinu, hear our voice.
Avinu Malkeinu, we have made mistakes against you.
Avinu Malkeinu, have kindness for us and our children.
Avinu Malkeinu, make an end to sickness, war, and hunger.
Avinu Malkeinu, make an end to all struggle.
Avinu Malkeinu, give us blessing in the book of life.
Avinu Malkeinu, let the new year be a good year for us.
Avinu Malkeinu, fill our hands with blessing.
Avinu Malkeinu, be gracious and answer us, for we have little worth. Treat us generously and with kindness, and be our help.
Avinu Malkeinu, Avinu Malkeinu, Avinu Malkeinu, chonenu v'hanenu, ki ein banu masim. Aseh imanu, tzedaka v'chesed. Aseh imanu, tzedaka v'chesed, behoshienu. Avinu Malkeinu, Avinu Malkeinu, Avinu Malkeinu, chonenu v'hanenu, ki ein banu masim. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adonenu, Kadosh v'nora Shemo. Gadlu l'Adonai iti, unerom bema Shemo yachdav. זה היום, זה היום,
Hayom asa Adonai.
זה היום,
Hayom,
זה היום,
Hayom
עשה אדוני. נגילה
Nagila
ונשמחה,
Nismecha
נגילה ונשמחה בו. נגילה
Nagila
ונשמחה, נגילה ונשמחה בו. Today is a glorious day. Today is a day you have made. So come, let us sing and rejoice. So come, every soul, every voice. זה היום, זה היום, עשה אדוני. זה היום, זה היום, עשה אדוני.
You can be seated. In today's Torah reading, which you can find on page 29, we are going to read about how we should be holy because God is holy. Holy is a difficult word, and I looked it up in the dictionary, and it didn't help very much at all. But the Torah gives us important clues about how we can be more like God and therefore be holy. The Torah says we can do things like honoring our parents, keeping Shabbat, giving food to the poor and the hungry, and being kind to one another. These are actions, choices that we make about how we live with one another and every day. The way we become holy and more like God is by increasing our connection to one another, by helping people who need us, by being kind and loving to our family, our friends, our community, and the world. So we are going to invite up now our wonderful LCLJ team, Marissa Hochberg, Jeremy Sipes, Stella Burfus, Abigail Davis, and Eve Morin to join us on the bima for the Aliyah.
Baruch hu et Adonai Hamborach.
Baruch Adonai Hamborach le'olam va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamborach le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim. V'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten ha'torah.
Amen. Vayedaber Adonai el Moshe lemor. Daber el kol adat bnei Yisrael. Ve'amart alehem kedoshim tiyu. Ki kadosh ani Adonai Elohechem. Yishimo ve'aviv tira'u ve'et shabtotai tishmoru ani Adonai Elohechem. Al tifnu el ha'elilim ve'lohei masecha lo tasu lachem ani Adonai Elohechem. V'chi tizbechu zevach shlamim l'Adonai lirtzochem tizbechu.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emet v'chayei olam nata betochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten ha'torah.
Amen. Yasher koach. Please rise as we lift and dress the Torah.
V'zot ha'torah asher sam Moshe lifnei bnei Yisrael. Adonai beyad Moshe. Yai lai 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 lai.
So we are going to now return the Torah to the ark, and then we can be seated. You can be seated. Every year before Rosh Hashanah or Yom Kippur, a family says to me, "Is the storyteller with the banjo going to be back?" And the answer is yes. And we spend some time talking about the story and how it might relate to the themes of the day. So it is my honor to introduce Bill Gord to tell a story. And your job is to think about, what does this story have to do with Yom Kippur?
This is a story from southern Africa, a folk tale. And it's about a crow and it's about a hen. And the crow and hen were great friends, great friends. And on the day of this story, they were just down in the village, hanging around. And Crow got an idea and said, Hen, let's go in the forest and get some hollow logs and make ourselves some drums. And we can play and make music. We can play and make music. What do you say, Hen? What do you say? And the hen said, I don't feel like it. I'd rather just sit around. No, come on. Let's make drums. We can make music. Come on. I don't really feel like it. Oh, Hen. Okay, I think I'll just go make a drum myself. Go ahead, I don't want to do anything today. So Crow went and found a hollow log and brought it back and got a skin and covered it over and got those pegs you have to peg in the edge and then get it all wet. So you stretch it so that when it dries, you get a great sound. And Crow said, look at this. Ooh, Hen, I've got an idea. I'm going to peck out some little designs to make it beautiful. And Hen watched and said, whoa, Crow, that is very, very nice. Crow heard, oh, somebody's calling me from my farm. I gotta go. The drum's not ready yet, it's gotta dry. Hen, will you watch the drum for me? Of course, I'm your best friend. Okay, watch it. You can't play it, okay? No, I'm not gonna play your drum. It's your drum. You made the drum. I didn't make the drum. I know, I wanna be the first one to play my drum. Of course, it's your drum. And it's wet anyway. Go. Crow flew away, and Hen proudly watched that drum. Watching. Ooh, that's a nice looking drum. It's a really nice looking drum. I bet it's gonna have a beautiful sound. I'm sure it is. You know, I don't see Crow coming back. You know, I could probably just play just a little bit just to see what it sounds like, you think? So Hen went and pecked. Whoa, this is a great sounding drum, and pecked a little more. Ooh, I love this! And Hen jumped up onto the drum and started dancing on the drum, and dancing. And guess what? Here comes Crow. And Hen looked up and saw Crow coming, and Hen jumped off the drum. And as the hen jumped, its claw ripped a hole right across the top of the drum, and it was ruined. And Crow landed and looked at Hen, and the story said they were never friends again. And that's the end of the story. And when we were talking about that story for me to share today, we got talking about Does that story have to end that way? This is a great holiday to think about new endings and new beginnings, and maybe that story is one of those that needs it.
One of the things we get to do in the new year is to write a new ending to our story. If we really do all this work that we're doing on the holiday, if we think about the things we've done and the things we want to do better, then we have an opportunity to write a new ending to our story and to maybe have tshuva, have return and repentance between Crow and Hen, and think about the ways in which that story could have ended differently. So we have reached the heart of our Yom Kippur service, and we have Lila here who is going to introduce the vidui, which is on page 36. We rise, please.
We recite the vidui to ask God for forgiveness for all the bad things our community has done. By reciting this prayer, we are showing we are not perfect and not so filled with pride. We are saying people commit so many sins that there's one or more for each letter in the alphabet. This isn't only about the sins we've committed. We do this together because it's hard to say sorry, and we support each other as we do it.
When we sing this prayer, we tap on our hearts. We say, "Hearts, please wake up, remember what we did, and think about the ways we might do better in the year to come."
Ay 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 Ashamnu Bagadnu Gazalnu Dibarnu Dofi Ay 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 Vehirshanu Zadnu Chamasnu Tafanu shaker Ay 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 Kizavnu Latznu Maradnu Niatznu Ay 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 Pashanu Saranu Kishinu Ore Ay 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 Rashadu Shichatnu Tiabnu Tainu
We have all done bad things. Together we confess these human sins. We get angry, we bully, we are careless, we destroy, we are selfish, we are false, we gossip, we hate, we are irresponsible, we are jealous, we are lazy. We all know we have done one of these things. For every letter in the alphabet, there's a sin we have committed.
There is a children's book that some of you may have read where God asks a large bird to go and find the hardest word to say. After a lot of back and forth, the moral of the story is that the hardest word to say is, "I'm sorry." I think that's probably true for many of us. It makes us uncomfortable or embarrassed to admit that we did something wrong. But we also know that we have to apologize because it makes our relationships with our friends and our families stronger. Our next prayer is Al Chet, which asks us to apologize for any ways we might have missed the mark this year. We have to say it out loud and in front of everyone, but we don't say it alone. We list lots of different ways we may have missed the mark, and we realize that we're not the only ones. It becomes just a little bit easier to say, "I'm sorry." We will read together some ways we have missed the mark, some written by our central community, and some gleaned from our own experience.
We have missed the mark and ask forgiveness for being too rough with our siblings, for not being patient when we know everyone else is having a hard time too, for shouting and screaming instead of speaking calmly, for ignoring our parents' advice after we had asked for their advice, for not listening to our babysitter, for riding our scooter in the house and too close to the cat, for talking when we should have been listening, for forgetting something important because we weren't really listening in the first place, for not turning on our Zoom camera even when our teacher asked us to, for not giving our bodies enough sleep or healthy food, for comparing ourselves and what we have to others, for taking things without asking first.
We have missed the mark and asked forgiveness for talking about people behind their backs, for not cleaning our room, for not standing up for something that we know is right, for not just doing our chores instead of waiting to be asked, for letting our friends dictate what we think, for not inviting our friend to a party and then posting about it on Instagram, for not being a good friend, for ignoring our computer and television limits, for being disrespectful to our teachers, for asking for one more minute even though we just asked for one more minute, for not doing our best work at school, for not being more invested in conversations with our families.
We have missed the mark and ask forgiveness for buying too many individual plastic packages and then not recycling them, for being mean to the dog, for not having an open mind to others' ideas, for playing ball in the house, for not being more honest with people, for not being more honest with ourselves, for eating too much junk food even though it makes us feel terrible, for negotiating with our parents about everything, for breaking our friend's Lego out of anger, for blaming other people for our mistakes, for calling our friends names, for not showing enough respect for our parents. We continue in the top of page 38. We read together, "For all these things, O God of forgiveness, pardon us and forgive us."
Selach lanu, mechal lanu, kapel Mechalanu
You can be seated. On Yom Kippur, we have a service called Yizkor, the service of memory, where we think about people who have died, but who have left a lasting impact on our lives. Sometimes these are people we've met or people we've lost recently, and sometimes these are people we've never met, but whose qualities, stories, and ideas live on in our families. Sometimes these are people who were close to us, like our grandparents or our great-grandparents, and sometimes they are people who are famous for the ways they contributed to the world. Take a moment now, either out loud or think about in your heart, to tell the story of someone you are thinking about this Yom Kippur. When we tell their stories and talk about what they mean to us, we keep a little part of them alive in our hearts. May their memories be a blessing to you, to your family, and to the world. We invite you to rise in body or spirit for Mourner's Kaddish on page 41. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, ve'alma divrach yirutei v'yamlich malchutei, v'chayechon uvyomechon uv'chayei zechol Beit Yisrael, Ba'agala u'vizman kariv v'yimru amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevorach le'olam olamei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shmei dekudsha brechu. Leila u'leila mikol birchata v'shirata. Tushbechata v'nechamata. Damiran ve'alma v'yimru amen. Yehei shlama Rabbah min shemaya. V'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'yimru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'yimru amen. You can be seated. We are ready to close our Yom Kippur family service, and we are going to close it with the blast of a shofar to really wake us up, to remind us that we have so many wonderful opportunities in the year ahead. So if you are following along in the prayer book, we're going to read the blessing at the bottom of page 42. Are you ready to leave the year in the past? How will you be a better person? How will the shofar awaken you? How will this year be as or more exciting than last year? Are your questions answered? How have you changed this year? How have you changed in these services? Can you start?
Tekiah. L'shana tova tikatemu, l'shana tova tikatemu, l'shana tova, l'shana tova, l'shana tova, tikatemu v'techatemu.
Shana
Tova.